Howdy, howdy. So, I was trimming my horse's feet today, and this horse here was given to me, and I found out she is quite mean when it comes to trimming. You try to pick up her front feet, she tries to hock you. If you do pick them up, she tries to cow kick you. It's a beautiful horse, but is she ever mean? She's got a strange attitude. Very, very skittish when it comes to being touched. I've shoot thousands and thousands of horses in my life, and I've never seen one quite with this attitude. See how she puts her ears back like that? Her eyes pop out and you see the whites? Yeah, she's got a really interesting nature. Yeah, she was given to me for free. It's going to take a little bit of work to get her straightened up to where she is able to be used. I'm debating if it's even worth it. You can see how she's acting. You see a horse doing that, don't buy it. It's not a good kind of horse. Okay, so oops, I'm sorry. I have a hard time getting this thing set up sometimes, just the phone. So. Okay, so I was going to talk about something I saw in the report. I don't know if any of you are familiar with what they call the Mexican Mennonites, or the Old Colony Mennonites. They speak Plattdeutsch. Billy, stop it. They're originally from Prussia. They moved to Russia. Boy, this Billy good, I tell you. Might have to move. Let's see. Yeah, it's a beautiful day today. Okay, try to get over here. Maybe it'll work. Sorry for the finger in the camera. Okay, so these families, there was about, I heard, between 24 and 30 families moved down. Some of them, the first of them started moving down to Peru in 2015. Some were from Belize, where I used to live for 10 years, and then from Bolivia. And now I see that the government of Peru, well, the minister of Peru says they do like all farmers and they use their land. But there's these college, I can't say it properly, but anyhow, the ones who are worried about the environment, they're upset about the clearing of the land. And they're trying to stop them from clearing their farms. They said since 2015 they've cleared 2,000 acres of land, which is not that much considering how many of the families are there and how many of them are farmers. They say the trees shouldn't be cut because of the environment. Well, thinking about this, I would like to kind of set some of my thoughts on this, my travels, what I saw, how it was down there in Peru, because I had gone down there once, and let's see if I can set this up. Okay, so I gone down there to Peru, and it was, I decided that if people think the Earth's full, they need to go look at Peru. Because when I traveled through Peru, there's a desert in Peru, on one side of Peru, that's for 3 days and 2 nights we traveled through a desert. Some of the driest desert I have ever seen. I mean, it wasn't like the U.S. desert with cactus and scrub and the occasional bush. I mean, this was barren, rock and sand. Dry. Even the houses they had there in certain little communities had No roofs. No roofs. They just had a shade, a rush, or it looked like tarps maybe for shade. They had literally no roofs. That's how little it rains in the desert of Peru. They must have pumped water from the ground for their crops, because you'd see these green strips in the bottoms. But what I wanted to talk about was the other side of the mountains, which is the Amazon rainforest. And there's some temperate areas on the mountains, and then on down into the jungle. Well, the Mennonites settled in an area that was previously cleared, which the minister of Peru said that land had previously been disturbed and cleared, and they were just cutting second or third growth trees. And he felt that, them being farmers, that was, what all farmers do when they farm. Well, the environmentalists have the belief that farming is damaging to the land. Now, I want to point something out, that when God made this earth, He made this earth for humans. He created it to be inhabited. And He said, the first thing He said was, multiply and fill the earth. And there is so much empty land in Peru. When you fly over it, for miles, you see nothing. Nothing at all. Not even, no roads, no settlements, just empty land. And I had oftentimes thought of maybe going to Peru, just for the idea of going for somewhere where there's not many people. I don't like modern society, and I would prefer somewhere like that. But anyhow, I never got it done, but I was looking into it. Well, then I heard these Mennonites gone, so I've been following them, some of their progress. They have 3 communities now, and I've gone to churches. I speak their language. It's Plattdeutsch. I've met a lot of them, and I really appreciate their lifestyle. But I'm looking at the comments of people on this article saying how they think that it's wrong, they're clearing the land, they shouldn't be clearing the land, it's detrimental to the environment, to the animals. I want to point something out. In my travels and what I've noticed in my experience of living in Central America in the rainforests or tropics, that I think people misunderstand the tropics, for sure. First off, the native tribes there do the slash and burn farming. They cut the trees down, they grow in it for 2 or 3 years, 4 years maybe the most, and they let it grow back, and then they clear another place and they move on. They never actually clear the land and plant the grass and have stock, or they don't normally plow big fields or anything like that. But whenever a hurricane hits the tropical regions, at least the ones near the coast, I have seen it lay down, we'd say rainforests or forests, as flat as if a bulldozer had run over the trees. It breaks all the hardwoods off. There's a few softwoods that remain, a few palm trees, leaves them tattered. We had a hurricane hit Belize, and I'd say millions of acres were affected like that. And then, a couple of years later, after the hurricane, those same jungles or same forests burned. From all the broken down trees and the branches that had been laying there, fires started, and for days we had fires burning. And there was so much smoke, sometimes in the morning you could barely breathe, it was so heavy. But in my experience with the tropics, stuff grows so quick, you almost cannot keep up with it. I mean, if you didn't burn your fields, whoops, sorry cat, didn't burn your fields to keep the brush down, it took over. I mean, it grew like crazy. If you didn't keep it cleared in 4 or 5 years, land would be back to forest again. But what I want to point out is is often stated that the deforestation causes global warming. And first off, I want to point out that the Yucatan Peninsula, which is now Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, and it's a large section of land called the Yucatan Peninsula. When the Spaniards first arrived in America, 3/4 of the Yucatan Peninsula was under cultivation when the Indians, by the Mayan. And by the time that was in the 1500s, 1600s, early 1600s. By the time 1800, 1900 rolled around, was all gone. They were all gone. I don't know what, most of them die from diseases, or were they killed? I don't know what happened to them. I really don't know exactly the whole story. But I just know they were all no longer farming. And the ones that were still there didn't farm like they used to, yes, maybe. That land grew back, and most of that land is still under trees. Now, I want to tell you two other things. One is in a rainforest without clearings, there are not many animals. You know, animals need sun and food, and there's not a lot of food. Now, for monkeys, it's a nice environment. Monkeys enjoy trees. But a monkey in itself does very little to anything except eat trees and seeds. They don't even, they really are not something that, I mean, the natives eat them down there. I've never had monkey, not really interested in eating monkey, but monkeys are not really something that humans would raise for our food. They're not really a practical type of food, I'd say, in my opinion. I prefer other things. But, okay, on with this, what I'm trying to say about the rainforests. There's been studies done that showed that even in the Arctic, that algae in the water produced oxygen. So in the dead of winter, even, the algae in the water was producing oxygen. There's also been studies done showing that a field of grass produces more oxygen than a forest of trees. And like many people who know trees, know that once a tree reaches a certain age, it dies. Trees don't live indefinitely. They die, and they're replaced by other trees, or grass, or bushes, or vines. And another thing you'll see in the tropics is many, many vines. In fact, it is so thick in vines in some places, especially second growth forests, that you cannot just about not walk through certain areas. It's so thick with these vines growing in the trees. And they smother all the trees, and they kill them. A lot of people talk about deforestation. The globalist push is to put this farmers off the land. You know, we have a threat to our way of life, not just in Central America, not just in South America, but in North America. The traditional farmer is looked upon as not producing enough for society. You know, in the old days, people produced for their own families, and they produced most of their own food and clothing, and the things they bought and needed, they traded. You know, I wish more of us could do that. But we need to remember, the mindset that's being taught to the average American or average European, and even some of other countries, is that man is damaging the earth. And I ask my people, if you look at a city and then look at a farm country, if we all died right now, the trees would grow back where they grow and would cover everything. There wouldn't be, I wouldn't say that there'd be much land that wouldn't grow back into trees in temperate areas. If you take a plot of soil, you'd be surprised how many seeds are in the ground that come back year after year after year. When you get into a garden, the amount of weeds that come back, even if you kept it all weeded out the year before that, and the year before that, they still come back. That means there's seeds in there from who knows how long, and they continue to come back. And in some years, certain seeds will germinate that weren't ever there before, and you'll never saw them. I mean, a plant will just pop up you've never even seen before, and it'll be everywhere. And I saw that happen over my lifetime, different times. One time in Missouri, there was this little blue flower that came up. It came up all over. And I've only ever seen it come up 1 year in my life. I've never seen it since. It just came up, and it was all over. It flowered and went to seed, and that was the end of it. And the next year, you didn't see any. I've seen other plants do that. You'll see some a lot 1 year, and you won't see anything the next year. And then a couple of years later, they'll all be there again. Based on how the conditions were for growing. It's interesting how that works. And like I said, anybody who grew a garden knows how many weed seeds can be in a piece of land, and how much you have to work to keep them down. I mean, it's an effort. I hear a lot of people talk about permaculture. I'm not very fond of it, just for the fact I believe man should till the earth. If someone wants to poke a stick in and plant a plant and weed and mulch around it, that's fine. But to produce enough food to feed your family, it takes quite a bit of effort. And I know it's better to grow some than none, but you have to grow enough to eat. And if you can't buy from the store and you can't get it anywhere else, you got to grow quite a bit. And that much food is pretty hard to raise without cultivation, plowing. And I'm not trying to say you can't do permaculture. I think we should focus more on traditional methods of farming like our ancestors did, which was, the European ancestors, plowing, cultivation. And I know people can overdo it. But if you rotate crops and you take care of the soil, you have a healthy soil. That's what's important. You build your soil up by putting manure on. And but a lot of people nowadays don't keep animals, so they have a hard time getting manure. The farm was meant, I think, to have a balance between plants, animals, and the God made man, and man was supposed to oversee and take care of the earth. But it really irritates me to see the push by the environmentalists to try to run the Mennonites off their farms, to stop them from clearing land. These families need land, and it's hard to survive in this world being a farmer. And the farmers do a lot for the production of the country, for the food production. They're hard workers, most of them. And they farm with tractors, but they drive horses and buggies, which is interesting because the tractors have steel wheels on them. They have big cogs on the back. I always enjoyed going to visit the communities. They were quite different from the Amish. Some similarities, but very different in other ways. But when I see the environmentalists trying to stop Mennonite farmers, I think, we live in sad times. We really do. Where society tries to stop a way of life and communities that have existed for many hundreds of years, and they're being called evil or detrimental to society, where in reality the foundation of a free society rests in its free-landed farmers. And I would just encourage you all, keep farming, support those that farm. Try to combat the idea that we're destroying the earth for farming. Now, I agree. There are exceptions of people, especially the big farmers, that grow all one crop, don't care about the soil, heavily chemical fertilizer and sprays, GMO crops, Roundup, etc. But the farmers like me or others who seek to do as God intended, I don't think, we are an asset to society. And I wish people would see that. We struggle because it's not easy to make a living as a small farmer. It seems all people would rather go to the store and buy a perfect tomato in the store, do their shopping, and they don't think how much more important it is to help the farmer eat in season. And a lot of us don't eat in season anymore. We eat whatever we want because we go to the store and buy it. But I think the system of farming is under attack by the Great Reset people in the New World Order. They would like to see us all in the mega cities and then stop eating meat, I hear. But I just encourage y'all, maintain your way of life. Keep farming. And Sorry. It's a way of life we need to maintain and try to teach our children. I mean, the beauty of the earth God made us, the things He built or created, I'd say. I'm very thankful for all the good things we have, and I hope we can maintain our culture and our way of life. Well, you guys take care, like and subscribe, and you have a good day. See you later.